All right, while we're on the topic of your cytoskeleton, let's talk flagella and cilia. Cells have these, some cells don't. But when they do have them, they are made of microtubules, so those biggest filaments of your cytoskeleton. And it's just a matter of how long are they and in what kind of arrangement. When we look at your flagella, right, these are going to be these long, sort of whip-like structures. Um, they are made of clusters of microtubules, and they are there obviously for cells to be able to swim around. Um, some cells can have a single flagella, some can have multiple flagella. Some of them will have them coming out of one location, some of them will be out of multiple locations. So it really just kind of depends on the type of cell you're dealing with, right? Remember, we also see flagella in prokaryotes, although we actually can look at them. They do have some structural differences in the way that that protein gets built, but they use them for the same purpose. Only cell in a human body that has a flagella? Sperm cells. All right, so they'll use their flagella in order to swim to find that egg and actually complete fertilization and make an offspring. Um, when we look at cilia, these guys are much shorter. They're still microtubules, but they're much shorter than those flagella, and they're typically all along the cell. You'll see them kind of look like this. In a cell that is capable of movement, like our little paramecia here, they'll use those sort of whip them around like motors, rotors, I should say, on a motor, and be able to make themselves move in a particular direction. Um, there are cells though that are stationary, meaning they personally don't move, but they still have cilia. And in that case, they will use those cilia to beat fluid over their cell surface for one purpose or another. In our body, the cells that line your windpipe going into your lungs actually have cilia. Those cells don't move, but what they will do is move mucus and other dirt particles and materials um, across their cells, not really for any purpose for the cell to gain nutrients or anything like that. But what they call it a ciliary escalator. And what that really means is that they're constantly beating back up so that anything that tries to get into your lungs will hopefully get swept back up your windpipe and be able to go down into your esophagus and into your stomach, so that you're not getting things like bacteria or dirt particles or things like that deep into your lung tissue where you really don't have a good way to get rid of it. Um, so it's a pretty cool system to try and keep your lung tissue healthy. Unfortunately, people who are chronic smokers, for example, who or have some other potential lung issues, one of the things that can happen is that all of that gunk and things like that can basically arrest or freeze up these cilia and make them not capable of beating anymore. They kind of get gooed up. And when that happens, that ciliary escalator breaks down, and now you're getting dirt particles and um, bacteria and things that end up sitting in your lungs. And a lot of people who have those chronic problems like that um, end up with a lot of bronchitis, and sometimes that can turn into pneumonia, and you get fluid buildup in your lungs. So we definitely want that ciliary escalator to be doing its job as best as it can.